Hey, hello, how are you? So thank you for joining and for giving me this space to talk a little bit about chatbots, about the virtual assistants. So so the title of the presentation will be I don't want to talk to you. And so I want to talk to the chatbot. So I'm gonna try to go a little into the matter. So first, let me introduce a little bit about myself. I'm Patricio. I'm here in Santiago, Chile, South America, and, and here is my family. There is my wife, Macarena, and here is Patito. So even though probably you think I'm the shy guy, I'm the introvert, the self-contained, I do have my family. I do have my human feelings for them. And even though I'm AI enthusiastic, I still do have my human roots in place, fortunately. Okay, so the agenda for today's sessions will be this four topics. First of all, I'm gonna talk a little about the intelligent automation, what it means, what are the main focuses in there. Then I'm gonna go a little into one very important milestone reached in the last months, which is called the Turing NLG, all about the natural language. Then I'll go a little deep into virtual assistants to try to understand the movement around the virtual assistant and the impact we have reached so far. And then let me tell you a little bit about one case that I loved a lot because it has to do with this coronavirus crisis here in Chile for one of the public services we do have here in the country from the government. Okay, so in terms of intelligent automation, what we have seen is that there's a lot of RPA in there. Probably 70% of all the robotized activities into the companies falls into this category. That means all robotic process automation, small bots doing small tasks like copying and pasting. Passing through a list, taking one value, put it into a form, submitting the values into the web experience, scraping some values back to a database, and so on. So we see a big movement into this space. But things start to get interesting when we move to RPA. To cognitive RPA, when we add to this small bot a small cognitive capacity, and when we mean cognitive, we are thinking on adding some extra sensorial capacity, for example, to understand how many people there's in an image, to understand if there's a landscape into the a photo, to understand if the sentiment of a text is positive, to understand if and so on. So every time we add a vision, we have a sentiment analysis, we have text understanding, we will tell that we have a cognitive RPA or an RPA with cognitive skills. Things goes a little bit more interesting when we talk about chatbots, because we are also changing the interface. Now we are interacting with the system through a chat experience. So we are no longer interacting through forms and things. Now we are interacting in a more natural way. We are interacting through text communication. That is the way we used to communicate with friends, with family, and so on. And and lastly, there's the artificial intelligence, where we will have these bots being able to take decisions, to take actions for a given understanding of the scenario. Okay, so we'll have this small and narrow intelligence in place with agents being able to take one action when they see some scenario. Okay, so just one slide to talk a little about artificial intelligence, and we'll use the term artificial intelligence when any machine imitates somehow the any cognitive function, like for example to learn, to solve a problem, but without being explicitly programmed in the way to do it. And this is the thing that changes everything. For the first time, we will be being able to to give instructions to a computer through examples and not through programming. So we'll somehow will be becoming more trainers than programmers. And companies eventually will do have more trainers than programmers. And this is the vision in place today because of the artificial intelligence movement. Just just to give a broad understanding, when we say artificial intelligence, we are talking about any technique that enables computer to mimic human behavior. Into the artificial intelligence side, there's a small portion called the machine learning, that refers to the same, but by using a statistical method that learns through experience. So this is when we'll talk about machine learning, and especially we'll talk about deep learning when this statistical method is one in particular called the multi-layer neural network. That was something that we just starting to feel confident and to get a good result in the last 4 years. And why we are into this AI movement boom. So I would say that there's two big things that happened in the meantime. First of all, the huge advances in high performance computing. So as you see in 2015, there was a a boom in the processing capacity, that for the first time we were able to process 1 hour of video in less than 1 hour. So it opened a new space, new opportunities of processing video in real time, for example. And video is just one of the spaces where we are achieving good results. We are also doing the same with text. We are also doing the same with audio and so on. Okay, and the second big thing, the second giant leap in this path to the artificial intelligence was the advances in deep learning itself. So we managed to make a convergence possible for a deep network. I mean, with a lot of hidden layers that somehow have to do with the capacity to understand subtle things and subtle patterns from the data. Okay, so what you see in there is a challenge, is a challenge going on every year for image classification. So there's a big data set that researchers and entrepreneurs use to benchmark their algorithms. And as you see in the 2010, 2011, the error was a 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 4 around. Okay, so but when in 2013 and 14, the deep learning movement came in place, the errors started to be 1 in 10, 1 in 20 eventually. So now we are getting relatively better result. I still will not let this artificial intelligence to to have a surgery on me or to take any other risky decision on me, but it start to works and to works better. But in 2015 and 16, we for the first time we managed to get errors around the 3%. And why this is important? Because the experiment has been done with humans trying to read this same data set used for the benchmark, and the human error is around the 3%. So for the first time in 2016, the error went below the human error. So for the first time, we had an artificial intelligence that for this specific task surpasses the human behavior. And we, for the first time, had this moment called the human parity, which are the moments in which artificial intelligence, narrow artificial intelligence for a very single purpose, surpasses us in doing one specific task. But in this AI human parities are happenings in the last year at a pretty common pace. In 2016, we had the very first foundational moment, which was the moment in which DeepMind surpassed humans in the Go game. It was a pretty particular moment and foundational moment. Then in 2016, we had the object recognition human parity with the example and with the numbers that I showed you in the previous slide. Then in 2017, we got the human parity in speech recognition. 2018 machine reading comprehensions that actually we humans we do not do that well. And in March 2018, we got the human parity in matching translation. So this is somehow what is happening in the AI space and how is this going on and advancing by every year, reaching this human parity moments. I just need to tell again, these are all narrow artificial intelligence. Okay, so our intelligence being able to solve this problem pretty well, eventually better than humans, but are really stupid when going to a different problem, even a pretty close problem. They are not aware. They are not prepared to understand and prepared to give an answer for the task. Okay. So let's talk a little about the Turing NLG. That was one of the amazing moments that happened in the last months, and had to do with the natural language processing. So we are moving to the language space. We've been doing examples in Spanish language, which is somehow confusing. Eventually, we have many ways to tell the same thing. So natural language processing is really a good skill if we want to go towards the real artificial intelligence in language. Okay, so there's a new that appeared in the media in February 13th this year. It was a post, a pretty regular post. You see this two columns full of text. Actually, this is not the whole post. I just put a screen on the two first pages. But what it was pretty interesting is that you see that below this first graph in the left, the graph actually shows the larger neural networks in place. So there's the one of NVIDIA, some others from Facebook and from Microsoft and so on. And now this new neural network, it was there on top, trying to show how many parameters it had. Actually, there are 17 billion parameters. And that's why we usually say about artificial intelligence that are black boxes, is that because the number of parameters are impossible to completely understand and completely root the whole decision process it followed to give us an answer. So, but the interesting part was there below the graph, you see a small a summary of the article, which is pretty common in any blog post. Okay, so and this summary said, well, the Turing Natural Language Generation (TNLG) is a 17 billion parameter language model by Microsoft that outperforms the state of the art on many downstream NLP tasks. We present a demo of the model, including its free-form generation, question answering, and summarization capabilities. to academics for feedback and research purposes. And then I got surprised that, wow, why is there this end of text in there? It was a mistake. It was something um, that that journalists forgot to leave. But then I kept reading the article, and for my surprise is that the summary that we just read was not written by the researchers, not by the journalists. It was written by the same AI model that we just described. So the model itself described in the post was the one that created the summary for us. So this is the size of this is the impact of the things we are creating. The summary was created by the same artificial intelligence, and as you felt, is very natural. It sounds like a journalist summary. It sounds like a researcher summary, and it was created by the AI model. So uh, it took the whole article and was able to deliver this beautiful summary. Like previous deep learning models, it was fed by virtually all text ever written on the internet. So the input was the whole set of texts ever written on the internet. Following the trend, larger models are leading us to better results. So TNLG is the largest model published to date with 17 billion parameters. One thing that surprises me is that this number, 17 billion, coincides with the number of neurons we do have in the cortex, which is usually associated with information processing in the human loop. And um, and some of the uses of this TNLG are generating words, completing sentences, understanding a whole set of documents, answering questions, emails, summaries like the ones that I showed, and so on, but all in an increasingly fluid and natural way. And this is the thing that will start to change things. For example, in the virtual assistants world, we are in a special boom. We the statistics says that we have some 300,000 um, active bots. This is a statistic from Facebook. We do have 90 million smart speakers just in the US. By counting Alexa, Google, Cortana, Siri, and all the smart speakers, 90 million. The forecast for the end of 2021 by Gartner is that 85% of the service interactions will be held by through any kind of virtual assistant. So this is the size of the movement. This is the size of the impact of this. 60% of millennials uses chatbots in a regular way. 40%, so sorry, and this is a statistic from Forbes. And Microsoft account for some 500,000 developers of chatbot technologies in 12 languages. And this is important because if you want to get natural, you need to talk in the natural language, in the natural slangs, in the natural way, but obviously in the language people uses. Okay, so and this is the point. In 2016, 15, 16, for the first time, the messaging apps surpasses the number of users of social networks. So this was a moment in which we realized that text and chatbots will be the natural way to communicate with systems. We will be focusing every day more into the text. In the text messaging apps, companies are spending more in chatbots than in apps today. But the thing is that by 2016, experience used to be frustrating, and news like this one, chatbots are frustrating and useless. But to 2018, 19, we for the first time we started to feel okay. Customer just don't want to talk to you; they want to talk to the chatbot. They want to pass through the process pretty fast. They want to get an answer in a 24-hour times seven fashion. We want to get right to the answer. This is the how millennials try to solve their problems. So some statistics say 30 64% of the user consider the 24/7 its main feature. So we want to get an answer right with no queue, with no line. We just want to get the answer. And something that also surprised me is that 37% of the users would prefer to talk with a chatbot in case of an emergency. So in these special critical moments where we need to an address, a suggestion, we would prefer to go straight to the chat bot to get the things done with no line, with no queue, and just straight to the answer. So this is somehow what's been happening. But there are some statistics in place. By 2023, it's a virtual assistant will outnumber the humans in the planet. So you remember the 90 millions in the US. So eventually we will in 2023 will surpass in the planet the number of humans in the world. Soon we'll have 2 billion people over 60 years. 46% of adults suffer from increasing levels of loneliness. And in the US, it's estimated that 40% of adults are unpaid family caregivers. And what it means is that we are somehow in another crisis of loneliness, of need for caring, and 2 billion people over 60. So probably chatbots and virtual assistant will not be that warm as humans are, but eventually it will be a help. They will give us a hand on these human problems we are starting to face. Those are all statistics from the World Economic Forum. Okay, so I'm gonna pass pretty fast around this. I just want to go to the case. In Chile, we had the opportunity to help one of the services in place, which is the poverty alleviation service, which is called FOSIS. And FOSIS creates program to small micro entrepreneurs or people that want to upskill themselves to get a first job, get a basic job. Okay, so it do it through programs. These programs run in a pretty brick and mortar way. So you attend to an office, you fill a form and paper application, and eventually you get funded to grow your micro entrepreneurship entrepreneurment, or to get a course, or to get some upskilling to get a job. Okay, this process used to start in March, April, but this year was pretty challenging because for the first time it needed to be completely online. So we for the first time had this this scenario in which people that are not digitally native or digitally heavy users to apply online because there were no choice because of the pandemic. So just in the first day of application, one website that used to have 10,000 visits had 100,000 visit. Here M is a thousand because of I lost in the translation. So this is where a chatbot or a virtual assistant came in place and was a big help, because we'll no longer have the human help for these guys to fill the forms. They will for the first time will need to do it completely online, but if you just leave the form for them, probably will not fill it properly. They will fall into common mistakes. But this is where the virtual assistant came in place, trying to help them. So I have some examples in here. So you'll see this is a pretty common fashion chatbot where you see I'm doing some questions for those who understand Spanish. I'm trying to do a lot of mistakes, a lot of typos, but the chatbot is answering me in a pretty natural way, is giving me answer. This is the public chatbot, probably pretty common and similar to those you've seen earlier. But this is also an interesting way to put it. So in here, the people is filling the form, but you do have the chatbot in there. This is the private website. This is the private part where you fill the form. This is a logged scenario, and you see the chatbot is recognizing my name, is recognizing the question that I'm answering, and is giving me feedback, is giving me support to fill it properly and not to fall into the common mistakes. This is how the Chilean government was able to give them a hand to apply properly, not at the same level of a human assistance. This is obvious, but we anyways were able to give some support and to support in the applications. Okay, so this is more or less all. I appreciate the invitation. I'd love to talk about it, and let's keep on the conversation. Thank you very much, and don't forget to to donate. Okay, thank you, everyone.